You can either go over there and start.
Hey, yo, real quick, shout out to Piers Morgan. Shout out to that homie Top G. Even though I may not agree with everything that he says, a lot of the stuff he says is pretty on point. And if it's not pretty on point, it definitely makes you think as a human being about some of the stuff that he's saying. And like, I don't know, it's very interesting. So we're just gonna watch, I guess, like a little bit of this and just go from there. But I thought that this was kind of important because he brings up a lot of different points, or Piers Morgan brings up a lot of great questions, and Andrew has a lot of interesting answers. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the like, share, subscribe, and the follow button. I would deeply appreciate it. Hit me up on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Kicking It with Timmy B, and Facebook and Twitter at KIWTB Gaming.
Start another war that we shouldn't be involved in and waste a bunch of life. Or we can sit and say, it's up to them. They should govern themselves. They're people. We're no better than them. And they've decided to live their lives a particular way, and that's how they're going to live it. Like I said, if feminists are very upset and they're very disgusted by the fact that in Afghanistan, women cannot go to school, I've been told repeatedly by feminists that they're just as capable as men in all realms, and I expect them to arm themselves and fly over to Afghanistan and fix it.
Like a lot of women have done in combat.
Good. Congratulations. Go fight. Well, this is the thing that's very interesting, because when you talk about ideas, it's not even just about Afghanistan and feminism. When you talk about ideas, they must all be defended at some point. There has to come down to violence. The world is backed by violence. Nobody wants to talk about this. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have a disagreement between two parties, eventually, if the disagreement continues, it ends up in violence. Feminism is defended by men. Men stand up and defend feminism, not feminists themselves, because they're incapable of violence. And we're in a situation now where you're saying that we should send men to go and fight for feminism. Why? It's not a man's problem.
No, I think, I'm saying
feminists believe.
I think men can be feminists too.
Makes you think, man.
Equality.
It makes you think, bro.
I don't agree with radical feminists who hate men. Right? To me, the radical anything to me is a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think most feminism in the West currently is radical.
Well, some of it is, no question.
Absolutely, but this is my point. My point is that the Taliban are going to do whatever the Taliban decide to do. If I'm going to fly over to another country, I will respect their laws and customs. It's not my job to come along and tell other people how to live. I don't believe I have a moral high ground in that degree. And if people are genuinely upset and disgusted by it, the bottom line in most disagreements on the earth is violence. People who feel like they should go and fix it, then fix it with violence, then it can be the feminists who feel so outraged by it. But it's funny, they don't comment on these subjects, feminists. They seem to instead attack the Western male for some reason.
You deleted a video in which you praised ISIS. Why?
I don't know which video you're talking about in particular. The video from
Let me say this right now.
In general,
Let me say this right now. Dude, you and ISIS and you approving what they say all in one sentence, that don't sound good at all. That sounds no bueno.
Understand that, like I said, the world is not black and white. The world is gray areas, and Western imperialism as a whole has been causing more problems than it's ever fixed, and it's disgusting. And I don't know the exact video you're referencing, but sometimes when an underdog destroys a Western imperialist, I have a degree of, I wouldn't say satisfaction, but
satisfaction.
No, but there's certainly a degree of
the way ISIS.
I don't know the particular.
Themselves.
I don't know about the particular video we're talking about.
ISIS were one of the most deadly terror groups in the world.
Absolutely.
They committed a series of appalling atrocities, killing innocent people left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
How could you possibly have satisfaction?
Well, if it's the video I'm recollecting, if it's the video we're talking about, it's about the fact that I believe ISIS was funded by the West and created by the West in the first place. And it wasn't a degree of satisfaction like I'm happy ISIS exists. It was a commentary on the world.
Well, here's what you said. ISIS are the real Muslims because ISIS do exactly what the book says. Kill everyone who's not a Muslim and chop people's heads off and set them on fire and be raging lunatics. But all the other Muslims go, they're not real Muslims because I read the book, and ignore those parts. Well, then you're not an effing Muslim because you're ignoring the effing book.
That's an interesting point that you just raised, because I am now Islamic.
That's crazy.
It's funny because I used to be an atheist, and when you're an atheist, you believe that religion causes more problems than it fixes, and then you come to a realization and you start to learn the truth of yourself and the truth of God, and you realize that religion is actually the cure for most of the problems in the world, and godlessness is the problem in the world.
Woo!
So that is something I will apologize for and admit I was wrong about, because I was atheistic, and now as a Muslim I understand that's absolutely not the case. If that's the particular video you're talking about, then there's...
Well, that's really interesting. So you regret saying that?
Yeah, because you learn and you grow and you evolve, as I said. At the time I believed it, because I didn't believe in God at the time. It was a very long time ago. It's actually kind of a testament to you, Piers. You managed to find the oldest possible videos of me that have ever existed. But at the time, I was atheistic.
Well, no, I was curious because you have recently converted to Islam.
Correct.
Yeah.
So these questions, I think, are pertinent to your conversion.
Absolutely.
As to what you actually believe as a practicing Muslim now.
Yeah, I believe that Islam is beautiful. I believe it's the last true religion on earth. It's certainly the last respected religion on earth.
I'm a Christian, so just hearing somebody say that's just very interesting. I'm not like, I'm a normal God-fearing person, you know what I mean? I don't go to church every weekend and stuff like that. I did grow up going to church and was baptized and everything. It's just, when you're going from a kid to an adult and you look back on stuff like that, and then you hear and see people like this who go from, I guess, like a Christian background, I guess just based off of his upbringing, I guess his folks were Christian, and then he went from being a Christian until he got older to being an atheist, to where he's at right now, being practicing Islam, or being Muslim. This is very interesting, man. Like, I don't know, it's just wild. It's just how religion is so impactful and powerful. Like, and like back in the day, like if you believed in something that somebody else didn't, and it was like a religious thing, they would think that you're a paganist, or, you know, they would put you on the stake. It's just wild. And then, like, if you weren't a part of the church, like, you weren't nothing. And how powerful the church was back in the day, which it pretty much still is today. But I mean, obviously, he brings up a good point of, like, the time that we're living in right now. There's a lot of folks, it's like the godless world out here now. There's a lot of folks who don't believe in God. You know, not that they have to, but it's just to see, like, how it went from people who really believed in God, like a good majority of the world kind of believed in some kind of faith. Now it's like some people don't even have a faith. They don't believe in anything. Some people do. Some people have a half faith where they believe in this, and that, so on and so forth. It's just wild, man, how powerful religion is, and like the good and the bad that it can, you know, cause on folks. So very interesting.
And I felt differently inside since I've converted. And I think it has the solutions to a lot of the problems we're facing in the world today. That particular video was once again satirical. A lot of people watching this would not have seen it. They would not have seen the joke element
That
of it.
part.
It's fine. But
It's not funny, though, is
no,
it?
well, you know, it's like most of the time, as we discussed in our first interview with me, things are taken out of context.
Well, you know.
But
Oh,
all in
snap.
all, you could say the same things about Christians. If you were to read the Old Testament,
Yeah,
say
see?
to the Old Testament, you'd kill anyone who works on a Sunday. So it's not applicable to
But you
read the
wouldn't
books in the Bible.
countenance violence.
Say again?
You don't countenance violence.
I absolutely do not countenance violence. When I was talking about violence being the bottom line decider between disagreeing points of view, it's not I'm calling for violence. I'm just making a commentary on how the world genuinely functions.
But when you use a word like satisfaction, you understand that people will watch that and think, how can you possibly find any form of terrorism satisfying?
I don't find any form of terrorism satisfying. I don't find Western terrorism satisfying either. I don't think it's satisfying that we managed to find $500,000 per bomb to drop on some farmer who makes $4 a day under the name of freedom.
Well,
then
nor
we
do
can't, and we can't seem to pay our nurses enough to do their jobs. I don't find any kind of terrorism. And it's actually very interesting. You talk about the word terrorism. Terrorist and freedom fighter, good guy and bad guy, all of this is subjective.
Yes.
There are people who believe that the West are the biggest terrorists on the earth. There are people who
Yes.
believe that America causes more wars than anyone else, and they've killed more people than anyone else. And there's people who believe the absolute opposite. So once again, it depends who you're talking to. It's a subjective conversation. There's no black and white in the world. There's areas of gray, and that's how it is. So I thought you were talking about another video where I was saying that ISIS is standing up and fighting for what they believe in. I'm not saying what they believe in is right, but that's what they were fighting for at the time. And it was a completely different video than the one you were actually referencing.
But you would condemn them now.
I don't condemn anybody doing anything bad to anybody. I'm not a person out here with a criminal record. I don't hurt anyone. I just spent my first segment on this show talking about how I believe in law and order and how important that is. I think people can operate inside of their lives safely and walk around, man, woman, child can walk around in safety in any city they live in. How that law and order is constructed is not my jurisdiction. I'm not in charge of the law and order of Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, any of them. It's nothing to do with me.
I want to talk to you after the break about masculinity. Why is it that so many young men gravitate to you. What is your view of what it takes to be a man? Sarkar, who's a lively contributor to this program, has tweeted, Andrew Tate, who you're interviewing about free speech, thinks women are a man's property. We shouldn't be allowed to drive. Boasts about only dating teenagers to imprint on them. Misogynists are discussing whether they're in Afghanistan or a swanky London studio.
Am I a misogynist? Am I? I don't think. First of the things she said, I don't even truly believe. If you're prepared to listen to me, I'll explain to you exactly why she's completely and utterly wrong. If you can go through the points again, she said.
Do you think you're a misogynist?
Talk to
Absolutely
him.
not. I'm not a misogynist on any level. This is one of those buzzwords they just throw at people randomly. Homophobic, racist, misogynist. They just throw it out at people.
What is your view of women?
I'm a realist.
What is your real view of women?
I absolutely not really love women. I adore women. I have good relationships with women. Not a single woman has come up to me on the street since I've been canceled. Not a single one has said anything negative. Every single one of them has said positive things. You're a traditional male. I wish more men were like you. You understand your masculine roles. You understand what you're supposed to do. You understand you're supposed to protect women. You're exactly the kind of man I'd be looking for. I've never had a negative interaction with a female ever since I've been dubbed the biggest misogynist in the world. Please let me finish. I'm sorry. Piers. Also, there's not been a single woman who's accused me of a crime, not a single woman who's accused me of rape, not a single woman who's come out and said anything from my entire past of 36 years I've done anything wrong ever. Anybody else with my level of fame, any footballer, any other movie star, at least has people who've come out and accused them of
Yes. Yep, there it is.
rape, X, Y, Z. I have no woman who's come out and ever said I've hurt her. No woman who's come out and ever said I've done damage to her or been horrible to her. Everybody who ever interacted with me has said I've been a nice person. All of them. So this random Twitter nobody who seems to know so much is full of...
All right, you've responded to her tweet.
Yeah, she's a liar.
But where is the line for you between masculinity, which I will always defend, and which I agree with? I think a lot of women like men to be masculine, and what has become known as toxic masculinity. And the reason I ask you is that you are engaged in that debate with men all the time. Where is the line for you where men shouldn't cross, where the behaviour should be kept within a line?
This is a great question.
Toxic masculinity.
Well, you tell me what you think it crosses a line from being a masculine, good man to a bad man.
There's no such thing as too much masculinity if it's genuinely masculine. Genuine masculinity is not out here to hurt people. It's absolutely the opposite. It's out here to protect. And when bad things happen, they call traditionally masculine men. If you need a firefighter, you need a masculine man. When you call the police because of the problem you have, you want masculine men. And as soon as a woman or a man is in trouble, when you look for backup, you look for masculine men. And masculine men have a duty to provide and protect those they care about. We have a duty to do things we don't feel like doing because we know we're supposed to do them. And that's why we stayed in the Titanic and died. Those were masculine men.
Where did you get your views about this from?
This is what I grew up with. It's the family I grew up around. And
Your father, your mother?
Yeah,
both?
and the world I lived in. And I think a lot of the things I'm saying now about masculinity and how people should act in the world, how the world should function, were considered completely normal and accepted by everybody only 20 years ago. I think the world's just lost its mind. For me to stand up and say a man should protect a woman now gets to be called a misogynist and canceled. If I said that 10 years ago, everyone would say, duh. And what's funny is, everyone who argues against me and says men shouldn't protect women, especially all the feminists, if they were with their boyfriend and a man broke into their house, guess who they'd expect to go downstairs? Who do you think? Think they go themselves? Are they going to Afghanistan? No, we send men to do these things. So
Well,
all
we
this
send
garbage.
we send women in the armed forces too.
You have to generalize when you make points.
There are many courageous people. women in
Exceptions
the
do
armed
not
forces.
disprove the rule.
No, but you've got to concede there are many courageous women serving in the armed forces.
Absolutely and utterly, completely correct. But by and large, traditionally, soldiers are men. Exceptions do not disprove the rule.
Well, it's not an exception. It's a fact that there are a lot of women now in the armed forces.
Correct. But if you were to take the average soldier, they are a male. If you're allowed to say who's a male and who isn't nowadays, I'm assuming their gender, I apologize. If you were to take the average soldier, they're a male, which means that exceptions are the female soldiers, which because there's a lower percent of them, a lower probability. Exceptions do not disprove the rules. Men do the fighting. Right now in Ukraine, men cannot leave. Women are allowed to leave because men have to fight in the front line and women are allowed to go to Dubai. That is how it is.
That's crazy.
What do you say to young men who come to you for advice, who feel lost, who don't really know where they fit into society?
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you. You're only going to be cared about based on how useful you are. You have the chance to build yourself up and become a superhero if you're prepared to do the hard work and be indefatigable enough to never quit. But if you're going to stand around and wait for a handout, nobody's going to ever respect you. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten about how difficult and how competitive it is as a man. We're always in constant competition with each other. And it's your duty as a man to stand up and say, I want to be as important and strong and good-hearted and God-fearing as possible. And I need to work hard to achieve those things.
Dave Sheila Hancock says we've become too over-emotional as a society, crying too much about everything. Has she got a point?
She's completely right. And the dangerous thing about overly emotional men is that they're dangerous. They're genuinely dangerous. This is what's crazy. All these people who talk about toxic masculinity and how bad it is for men to be traditionally masculine. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. He charges into the building because it is his duty. Not because he feels like it, because it is his duty. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings, and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world. Absolutely and utterly wrong. So when they talk about toxic masculinity, they have it completely inversed on its head, completely and utterly wrong. We need to be teaching stoicism. We need to be teaching young men to understand that the world is very, very difficult. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway. Not to sit there and cry your eyes out or blame other people.
Tough being a woman too in modern society.
It's certainly tough being a woman, but I'm not a woman, so why would I speak on issues I do not understand? I'm a man.
You can feel empathy for women.
I feel empathy, certainly, but I do not understand their issues.
See, a lot of
Top
men come up to me,
G.
they admire you.
Top
I've got to say, a lot of
G.
women I've spoken to don't admire. They think you represent misogyny. They think when they hear you not commit to saying the Taliban shouldn't be banning women from university education, well, why can't he just say that's wrong?
Well, firstly, that's not my experience. I experience the absolute and utter opposite of that. Secondly, it's because it's a moral point I'm making. My moral point is I speak on things I understand. I speak on experiences I've had.
But you believe in equality?
I speak, yes. I speak on, sure. I speak on subjects I know intimately. I do not feel qualified. I'm a realist, and I do not feel qualified to sit and discuss the gender laws in Afghanistan. I have not been to Afghanistan. I have not researched the subject thoroughly. I'm not going to sit here and say how the Taliban should be running their country. It's nothing to do with me. I find it quite flattering, Piers, that although, I understand I'm monumentally influential, the most Google man on earth, etc., I find it very flattering that you think I have some kind of control over the domestic policy of Afghanistan. But I assure you I don't. I don't.
No,
so it's nothing to do with
I'm not asking you to have a view on having influence of a domestic policy. I'm sure the Taliban couldn't give a stuff what either of us say about it. It's just curious to me that it's an easy win for you to make women think you're not anti them, to say that when they're not given equality, as the women in Afghanistan clearly are not, because they're not allowed to go to university now as of today, that is clearly unequal, unfair. We should all be able to.
Let me just say, what kind of universities they got over in Afghanistan, bro? I'm not sure that I would want to, if I was a female, but I'm not. I'm just stating that I'm not a female, and I probably have no reason to speak on this, but I'm going to speak on it anyway. If I was in Afghanistan, what kind of universities do they have? I don't really know too much about the area, only that it's pretty much a lawless desert filled with people who have been fighting themselves and other people for hundreds and thousands of years. But I mean, it's not right that the females are not able, that they are being barred and told they're not able to go to a university. I don't think that that's right. I think everybody is entitled or should have the opportunity to progress their education, to obviously learn how to read and write and speak and interact and communicate and so on and so forth, so they can become a productive freaking drone in their own little society. But I mean, bro, what kind of universities they got over there? Because I'm sure there's some very intelligent people that come out of that area, but what kind of universities do they have? I want to look that up. Let me know in the comments.
Agree that is wrong.
Well, certainly as a realist.
Even you, tough guy Andrew.
It's not tough guy.
Tough guy Andrew.
As a professional, I can state that yes, it is not equal. Yes, it is not fair. That is obvious for anybody. I'm not saying those things are not true. What I'm saying is it's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, but you made a concession you think is wrong there.
I said it's unequal and it's unfair.
Yeah, so wrong.
Well, perhaps.
Force yourself, Andrew.
No, perhaps it's wrong under certain moral guidelines, but under the moral guidelines which are currently in charge of the jurisdiction of Afghanistan, they don't believe it's wrong. It's nothing to do with me. Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell other countries how to run their laws. I'm going to live in societies with laws I respect.
You know what? I'll take unfair and unequal.
Sure.
Because that's self-explanatory. We're going to have a game of chess in a minute after the break, because you are a very good chess player. in fact. And we're going to have a 5-minute game of speed chess. Winner takes all, Mr. Tate. Master. And his son's pretty good at it too. Well, there was an American chess international master. And his son's pretty good at it too. Well, I can hold my own. I was my school chess champion. And with 5 minutes left on the programme, we're going to have a game of speed chess. Winner takes all. All right, well, you're white. Off you go.
It's racist.
Off we go. 5 minutes, go.
That's racist, Piers. Cancel Piers Morgan.
Funny as.
Are you good, Piers?
Well,
Are you
clearly,
going to destroy me?
clearly from this opening, better than you. Okay, let's be aggressive, shall we?
I don't know how to play chess like these.
Champion, eh?
It's tense.
Certainly.
Lennox Lewis was better than you when I played him.
Was he?
Well, he beat me 39 times out of 40. Check.
Yeah, he is pretty good at the game, I heard.
Time to get aggressive with you, Mr. Tate. Show you a bit of toxic chess masculinity.
Well, the world's been pretty aggressive with me lately, Piers, so I'm used to it. It's fine.
Okay.
Oops, apologize.
How long we got?
Why do you think the queen?
3:45.
Why do you think the queen gets to jump across the board and the king doesn't?
Because it's sexist.
The game of chess is sexist, but perhaps it reflects life, Piers. Haven't you ever thought that when you look at a yacht in Dubai?
You're running out of time. Stop stalling. I know what you're
Fine,
doing.
I'll just take your queen.
Oh, God!
I'll just take your queen.
Damn it.
I was trying to give you a little speech there. You didn't want to listen to it.
No,
I was
I
trying to
didn't.
tell you when you see a yacht in Dubai, the girl just gets an Instagram invite, gets to jump right on board. She
So
gets
listen-
to run across the board and do whatever she wants, but the man has to get there a square at a time. The man had to buy that yacht. That's the difference between being a man and being a woman. That's why the queen gets
You
to
know
do how
what?
she does.
A chivalrous man just always lets ladies go first.
Life and chess
That's why I
reflect.
let you go first.
Life and chess reflect, Piers.
I've made a catastrophic error, but I'm bouncing back.
Let's see. I always accidentally take someone's chick.
3 minutes.
I don't even mean to. It's just like, oops.
Oh man.
You need to stop knocking my pieces over like some.
Doug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
He's not getting in my head. They're talking to me saying you're getting in my head.
Damn, he's winning too.
How do you think chess reflects life?
I think that it's all about strategy.
Correct.
That if you're good at chess, you can be good at pretty much anything because it's about thinking ahead, it's about planning, it's about relentless practice.
And you know what else is beautiful about chess? If you lose, somewhere you made a mistake. There is no luck.
Absolutely right.
In chess, even if it's the smallest mistake, somewhere it was your fault. It teaches absolute self-accountability, which
Yeah.
is something that we need a lot more of in the world today.
That is true.
And that's why chess is so important. You can take my knight if you want.
Okay.
You don't want it? Why don't you
No,
want my knight?
Because I'm playing a long game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the long con.
Thought you'd want it. I'm going to leave it there in case you take it anyway.
Because I know what you want me to do. And I'm not going to do it.
He's crazy.
So I will do it now.
Okay, good. Check. Check. Check.
How long? I need to buy some time here. I need to buy some time. This is really playing well on radio, by the way.
I'll have that.
Yeah, this
Damn
is
it!
sick.
I'm screwed. I'm screwed.
Don't say that,
How long have I
Piers.
got? 1
You need
minute
to
12.
Believe in yourself.
Oh, I never ever give up.
Believe in yourself,
I
Piers.
do believe in myself, thank you.
Good. Self-belief is important.
I
He
do
hasn't
believe
even
myself,
moved
it's not
any of
gone
these
well.
pieces here, too.
You're quite good
It's
at
crazy.
chess, I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, in the chessboard of life, I've done pretty good. I've done okay. Check.
The question is, can you beat me in time? You've only got 50 seconds.
Check. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Let's see. Mate in 2, Piers. Yeah, you can have that. Doesn't matter. It's mate in 2. Check. Mate. Good. Good game, sir.
Well played.
Thank you.
25 seconds away from safety. Okay, well, Andrew Tate, I'll give you something. You're good at chess.
Thank you.
You have to be. You just beat me.
I know you're a internationally renowned
What has
player.
chess taught you about life, quickly?
I can teach you a lot of things. Like I said about the queen being able to run around the board, the king having to move a square at a time, about the fact you need to think ahead, absolutely everything is your fault. But there is a saying, which is actually one of my favorite sayings in the world. It said, a well-played game of chess is a sign of a gentleman, but an expertly played game of chess is the sign of a wasted life. And it's kind of sad.
I played Lennox Lewis on Celebrity Apprentice 39 times out of 40 in America years ago. And he beat me 39 times out of 40, I mean. And I was amazed. He was taught by his mum. But he was all about the way he fought, the way he boxed, was all down to the way he played chess.
Yeah, chess.
It was all about looking ahead, getting ahead of your opponent, planning punches, all that kind of thing.
Chess absolutely reflects life. And even I say this now in my business meetings with my team. A lot of the problem in the world today, especially with teams and businesses, et cetera, everyone wants to be the king. But if you want to have a team, if you want to have a side that wins, if you want to win a game of chess, everybody has to know their role and do their role effectively. There can be a king and a rook and a pawn and a bishop and a knight, and everyone does everything correctly. And when that happens, you have a very formidable board and you're hard to beat. And chess reflects life absolutely. It's something I do every single day.
What kind of man was your father?
He was the greatest man on the face of the planet. But luckily he had me, and now in the natural order of the universe, he is gone, and I am here, and I carry his name, and it is my duty to bring honor to him. And this is one of the greatest things about achievement, because achievement honors your ancestors. People talk about my father because of how successful I am, and people will talk about me into eternity, even after my death, because of how successful my son will be. This is the great thing about achievement. It's an honor to your ancestors.
What would he have made of your success, your father?
He would be extremely underwhelmed by it, because he always expected it of me. I am Henry Andrew Tate III. I can do whatever I put my mind to. And he would be like, well, of course, you decided you wanted to become the most famous man on the planet. It took you a few months, of course.
Does your mother ever do what my mother does and occasionally go, I think you went too far there?
My mother has absolute trust in my abilities and capabilities. She says, be careful, do your best, but you are the most capable and competent man on the planet. And
that wasn't the question.
That's what she says. She says, be careful.
Does she ever say you shouldn't have said that?
Nah, she knows better than that. No, never. She says, just be careful. You know what you're doing. It's kind of hard to argue against me, and this is what my haters seem to struggle with. It's hard to argue against a person who is monumentally successful in every single human metric that can possibly be measured. This is why young men respect me so much.
But do you ever tell your mother what to do?
They want to be my life.
Do you ever tell her what to do?
I don't need to. She's a full-grown woman.
Would you ever tell her what to do?
I would give her my advice if she asked for it.
Would you say you can't leave the home, you can't drive, all those things you joke about? Or?
I'd give her my opinion. I would say perhaps you should move house now, or perhaps that's not safe, or yeah, I would absolutely, because I'm responsible for her safety. And when you're responsible for somebody's safety, you have an opinion, and you need to have a firm opinion on that subject. So completely. For any woman I'm responsible for her safety, I will sit and say, that's an unsafe thing to do.
How much are you worth?
I'm a billionaire by now.
Wow.
Dollars or pounds?
About dollars. We're not in pounds yet, but we'll get there.
So what to do?
Wow.
Yeah, we have a little bit of work to do. But
finally, I know you don't know anything about football and care even less, but greatest of all time, Ronaldo or Messi?
They're both two very hardworking men, and I have absolute respect for anybody on earth who dedicates themselves to this.
Wow.
Andrew Tate, thank you very much indeed. That's it for tonight. Keep it uncensored like it was tonight.
Wow. It was a powerful interview, man. Powerful. I just get goosebumps, man. Just powerful. Just the words that he speaks, and just the questions that Piers Morgan he asks him, and the answers that Andrew Tate answers. Just powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff, yo. Really, I don't really have too much to say about that. If you guys have something to say about it, or if I didn't bring up anything, which I probably didn't, because I wanted to just watch that and kind of indulge in it, and then let it like sizzle, and then I guess wait for the third full interview, because we already watched the first one, which I think I do have a video on, but I think it was taken down, or was that? I think that was another interview. I think that was probably that interview. But anyway, regardless, I mean, I think it's a very powerful interview. The questions that he asks him and the answers that he gives, very powerful. Something to make you think. A lot of this stuff needs to make you think, not just, go through one ear and out the other. It's a powerful individual. He's had a very interesting upbringing, and he has a very interesting outlook. And you could tell that there is a beginning, middle, and end to how his mind has grown. Very cool. Very cool. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit the like, share, subscribe, and the follow button. I would deeply appreciate it. You can hit me up on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Kicking It with Timmy B, and hit me up on Facebook and Twitter at KIWTB Gaming. We out of here, son.